Awesome, man. So I know who you are. Tell the audience who you are.
Jason Farruggia, guitar player at large, I guess. I, sing once in a while and play in a lot of bands. So,
Well, tell me about those bands. What bands do you play in?
currently, I play in Menace, lead guitar. I've been the one of two lead guitar players and the original member. So that's going to be 25 years in April of this year. So we're coming up on a big anniversary. Been doing that again continuously for that whole time, and then
so Menace has been around for 25 years. We'll stop there. Wow.
Yeah.
That's. I haven't done many things in my life for 25 years. Man, that's pretty dedicated. Was it hard, heavy stuff since the beginning?
In the very beginning, yeah, we always did some heavy stuff, but I'd say we had a broader range. Like we did like collective soul type stuff back then too, and we did like, I don't know. I mean, it Sammy Hagar, and it was a wider range back then. And then we kind of looked for the niche of hairball was starting to get really big with all the 80s stuff, and how are you going to compete with that? And then I don't know if you're familiar with the band Slow Children, but they were kind of the kings of the heavy in the scene that we were in. And we're like, okay, if we could find somewhere between there and live there is where we saw the opportunity. We've kind of stuck there now for the and you keep adding the new stuff as it comes out.
Sure.
Not the new stuff. We always kind of, once it's kind of gotten there and we know that it's going to stick around, then we'll add it. But yeah, it's evolved a little bit, but we're kind of on the same thing. And the new metal stuff has of course seen a resurgence in the last few years. With KOBB and StiphBizkit also, that's been helpful. But even in Menace, and bringing some of that stuff back to the table. So.
And you're one of the OGs. You started this band. Or
I am
one of the originals.
Yes, there were three of us. The original lead singer, he only stuck around I think the first 3 or 4 years, and he became really heavy into religion, and didn't feel like it was something he could stand behind anymore. So myself and the other original guitar player, he stuck in for I don't know, like 18 years, I think. So it was two of us, but then we had I don't know, 10, 11 different drummers over the years, and I think 9 or 10 bass players. And, it was always not revolving, but I mean, it was always, people come in and have different, different goals in terms of how long they're going to do it and stuff like that. And so usually when I'd bring someone new into the band, we'd have that conversation about how long I hope to have them, because it's, bringing new people in is a challenge. You've got to kind of start that over again and get them worked in. And it takes a couple, at least a year or so until they're really, gelled in with the band again. And then you want to keep them around. So it's been interesting over the years, continuing to find new talent. And sometimes they come back. We have a few members, Otis, who was here. Otis was our second drummer, and now he's been with us now again for, God, I don't know. It's been at least 5 or 6 years, I think, so maybe longer. So it was nice to have him come back because we already knew each other. And it's funny watching the interview. I watched your episode. Otis and I have played together since 1985. So that band he was telling you about with his dad, I was in that band too.
Really?
So we go back and we played in bands in school and stuff. And then we played in bands after school. And I was the bass player. He was the guitar player. He was the drummer. I was the bass player, different things over the years. So that's been easy, to have him come back in because we know each other very well, and the history's there.
Yeah, a lot of depth there.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. I mean, I bet if you guys sit around and have a couple of drinks, the stories that will fall out. We probably need to bring the microphones to that get up. You know what I mean?
That'd be a fun
Start
one.
a fire, throw some steaks on there, and a couple of beers, and see what happens.
Yeah. There'd be a lot of stories there. We've had a lot of, just beyond the music as well. We lived in the same neighborhood, so
is that right?
We learned a lot from the same people. The people. There was in the West Metro. Has always been, I didn't really get into the Twin Cities a whole lot. I tried not to be honest. There was just a lot going on down here, and it's like you could kind of establish yourself, the big fish in the small pond situation.
Sure.
But there was always a group of musicians out in the West Metro that didn't get a lot of recognition in the Twin Cities, and they didn't really care because there was so much opportunity to play bigger gigs and make more money in the peripherals around that area. And then if you wanted back in the day, it was pretty easy to tour the 5-state and just stay in like the surrounding counties just outside. So you could do really well back then. That's what we all did. But we knew some musicians that were the old school guys back then, you know, which we are now, that kind of taught us. So we learned from a lot of the same people as well, including his dad. So
that's interesting. So, I mean, I cut you off and talking about all the bands. We'll get back into that in a second. But yeah, I mean, Slow Children is a name that I've heard before. But being a newbie in this local scene, if you will, I don't know much about them. Are they still around?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
They don't play a ton anymore. But Spit, one of our two singers, is the singer from Slow Children. But you know, some of the other people that played in that band over the years, you know, Billy Thomas from Hairball, you know, his brother Steve was the guitar player at one time. Dan Dryden, formerly Hairball, My Famous Friends. He was played bass in Slow Children back in the day. So there's been a long list of great musicians in that band. The current lineup has been together for a long time. I don't know exactly how long, with one exception that Icky left for a short period of time on bass, which that's when I stepped in and played bass. It's a funny story because Danny, the drummer, he was at the jam at Serum's one night. I think he was filling in, and I don't tend to drink a lot, but that night I did. And I've been a Slow Children fan since before I was old enough to drink. I used to sneak into bars to see him. So we got to talking, and I go, "Hey, when are you guys playing?" He goes, "I don't think we are. I don't think Icky wants to do it anymore." And I go, "Fuck that. I'll play bass." You know, not remembering it. Spit calls me Monday morning because Spit's in Menace. And he goes, "So Danny says you're going to play bass in Slow Kids?" I go, "Well, what are you talking? I don't play bass. Like, I don't even own a bass, you know?" And he goes, "Well," he said. I'm like, okay.
Guess I committed to it now.
I'm going to go buy a bass. So I went and bought 2 basses and a bass amp and started getting to it, and played in the band for a little bit. And then Icky just decided he wanted to come back and start doing stuff again. And I was like, by all means, you know, this is your spot. So so they play, I don't know, maybe I'd say maybe 5 or 6 shows a year now, but it's always cool because it's a big event. You know?
Right.
All the hardcore fans show up, but they're definitely the heavier side. Like if you took Menace's heavier side, they're all that. You know?
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, are they a cover band?
They are for the most part now.
Okay.
Originally, no.
Okay.
Like a lot of us. So Menace has always done only covers. We were kind of we were all musicians that had done original work before. But we were pretty convinced that if we tried to write music together, at least the original group, it probably would have ruined the band because we just couldn't agree on things like that on the creative side of things. At one point, I talked about using a bunch of stuff I'd written prior and then handing it to them kind of not done, but almost done, and just asking them to add their little things that I knew they were good at. So that would have probably been the closest to originals Menace would ever done, but we never did that. It's, you know, now when anyone asks about, you know, why we don't do originals, I say, listen, we've all done that. We've all been in those bands. We've all played on Wednesday nights to 7 people. We like to play to people now. You know, we all have careers and things like that. So that dream of you know, music being my primary source of income has been gone since I had kids, which my oldest daughter's 32 years old. So it's a long time ago. Now it's been, God, I can have fun, play to a bunch of people, you know, feed my addiction to buying guitars, you know, and not have to pay out of my own money. I can use band money and take my wife out to nice dinners and not worry about, you know, I've always got cash for that kind of stuff. So that's kind of where music has brought me. You know, I've done the original stuff and all the guys in the band have, and nothing against it. It's amazing. And the creative side, you know, Adam, one of our other singers, Adam, you know, he's in the new Defective, and he's still kind of chasing that dream of, you know, there might be a shot, and they do a lot of recording and stuff and some really great stuff they put out. So, but yeah, who knows what the future is.
Right.
I could win the lottery and have a bunch more time and
a bunch more guitars.
Yeah, but they couldn't fit not many more guitars. There's no room left. My wife will kill me if I try.
Buy a bigger house just for the guitars.
There you go.
Yeah.
Or a man cave off site. Yeah, I could do that. So yeah.
Awesome. All right, so let's unpack those other bands. We talked a little bit about a lot about Menace.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your other bands, other things you got going on.
So KOBB, you know, I don't know if you know Tim Gibson. He's been, you know, in the industry around here for a long time as well. Not originally, he was from California, but pretty much as long as he's been in the state, he's been doing music stuff. And when he was in Rock Gods, Menace and Rock Gods used to do a lot of shows together. And so him and I got to be friends. And it was years ago, and he just kind of asked me one time if I'd be interested in doing a Korn tribute band. And I was like, yeah, it'd be awesome. I love Korn. I'm a huge Korn fan. I couldn't tell you how many times I've seen them. And, I've got stories that have been written about of things that Monkey and I did at after a show. And I mean, it's my love of Korn goes pretty deep. So I was like, absolutely. And then nothing came of it. And we had a logo and we had a Facebook page for years, but nothing ever happened. And then all of a sudden, I don't know what year it was. I think we're 4 or 5 years in now, maybe 4 or 5. I'm not sure. But he gets a hold of me. He goes, hey, you still want to do the Korn thing? I go, yeah, sure. And he goes, okay, well, we need to find a guitar player, a bass player, and a drummer. I'm like, great, find them and let me know. Thinking it's not going to go anywhere again. And he calls me like a day later. He's like, hey, I think I got a drummer. I'm like, cool. Okay, find a guitar player and bass player. He calls me like a day or two later. He goes, I have a guitar player and bass player duo that like have played together in other bands, or like, and the bass player is basically Fieldy. He owns his rig, he owns his basses, he knows everything exactly. I was like, cool, let's put it together. And a few weeks later we got together and did our first rehearsal, and it was, for all of us, it was our first foray into the tribute side of things. So It's like, it's a little different than cover, where cover I think lends you a little more flexibility to, interpret things a little differently. Sure. Whereas, we got really serious about, this has to sound like Korn. Like if Korn saw us, they'd be like, good job, guys,
Yeah.
Which actually we opened for a band where one of Korn's secondary guitar players, when one of the guys is gone, J.R. Barris, was in that band, and he was video recording us. And I'm like, don't send that. He's like, I already sent it to Ed. I'm like, please, no. Because it was one of our early shows before we'd really gotten things nailed down yet. But KOBB has been one of those things where we're very, very particular about things being exact, so every effect is exact. When I play in Menace, I have, one of the most technologically advanced, guitar units you can use. And I use it like an old school amp. I have basically three settings, a clean, a dirty, and a dirtier with, delay and basic effects in there. But in KOBB, we get very particular about it matching the exact effect and coming in at the right times. And so that's all computer programmed through MIDI. And, we've got synced video that goes, and just all this stuff that's pretty over the top. So that was a learning curve, but we got it done pretty quickly to where, within our first couple shows, it was like, wow. And Tim looks like, Jonathan Davis, so that doesn't hurt either. But it was like, wow, it's like we've had fans come and tell us, like, if I didn't know wasn't at a Korn concert, I might think this was Korn,
Yeah.
Which is a huge compliment.
That's a good review.
Yeah. So we did that. And then, the tribute thing, you always need an opener, because, even Korn can't do 3 hours of Korn. 90 minutes is a stretch, because you hit all the hits, and then you hit kind of some of the deeper tracks that still the really hardcore people are in love with, and you hit all those, and you're like, okay, we got 90 minutes. Now where do we go? So you got to have an opener. And so we had been, struggling a lot of times to find the right opener, find the ones that worked right. Of course, there's not a lot of extra money to pay an opener either. So people are willing to do that. And so we kind of just joked around that, hey, why don't we become our own opening band? And we're all Limp Bizkit fans as well. So that's where that journey of StiphBizkit came from, is we're going to be our own opening band. And we rotated positions. So our bass player became our guitar player. Our second guitar player became our bassist. I became the lead vocalist as Fred Durst, or as we call it, Ched Worst, because I'm not the slimmest man.
Ched Worst.
And then our drummer had to stay in the same spot because none of us are good enough to play the drums that well. And then Tim came from the lead vocal spot, and he's our DJ, and he actually learned just crazy. I mean, to show the dedication, he went out and bought turntables and learned to be a DJ just for this, So when you see a StiphBizkit show, opening for KOBB, you'll hear a lot of the effects in there are actually him up there doing it literally as a DJ. It's
impressive.
Okay. Yeah. I'm always impressed by that. I'm like, wow, that's dedication. So,
that is. That's taking it seriously.
Yeah.
Gotta love that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because what would Limp Bizkit be without the turntables?
Yeah.
Yeah. Either going to have to play tracks, or you're going to have to nail it.
You got to have DJ Lethal. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And that's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. So timestamp those for me. So how long have you been doing The KOBB band, and then how long?
Yeah, so Menace is 25. KOBB, I think it's 4 or 5 years. Honestly, I don't know.
Okay.
It's not. I mean, it's a newer band.
Okay.
But time has gone by a lot quicker than I think. A lot of we don't play. It's not like a Menace or something where you're playing 2 or 3 shows a month. It's 5 or 6 shows a year, but they're usually bigger shows. We've done a lot of very big shows and festivals and stuff like that. So there's not a lot of bar gigs in between there. I don't know that there's a big call for it, to be honest with you. There's a few big rooms you can do that kind of stuff in, which we do. But I think also, just like if Korn were coming to town, if they came to town 20 times a year, they probably wouldn't see the draw they do. So you kind of keep it as a big event type thing. So with that said, the years have gone by faster because of that, because you're not playing as many shows. So it's like, we've played, I don't know, 20, 30 shows it is, and whatever that equals out to. If it's 4 or 5 years, I'm not exactly sure, but it's been fun. Yeah.
Sounds like a fun ride.
It has been very fun. Yeah.
All right. Well, take me back to the early years when you're just putting your fingers on the handlebars. What got you into all this heavy music or into music? Period?
Like I told you, I brought some notes here, so if you see me looking over,
feel free to pull them out, stick them on the table, man. We're real low key here.
Well, I'm old.
You can bring a beer with you if you want.
I'd love a beer. Miller Lite.
Next time.
That's our sponsors.
Is that right?
Yeah, Miller Lite sponsors Menace. So
that's cool.
Ice cold Miller Lite. There's my
you got a plug in there.
Yeah. So going back, it really started when it was not a guitar, it was a tennis racket, holding it as a guitar. So the first thing that got me excited about music. So let's start with, my parents are young. They were both, my mother was 19 days into her 17th year when I was born. My dad wasn't much older. And so, I grew up with these parents that were young, and so they were listening to music that I ended up liking as well. So a lot of the influence started there. Neither were musicians. I didn't have any musicians in the family.
So what are some of those early songs that you?
Well, it started with Kiss.
Okay.
So the minute I saw Kiss, I wanted to be a rock star. It wasn't even, I didn't really understand the music side of it yet. It was like the theatrics
just
of
the
it.
showmanship.
Like, I want to be that.
Okay.
And so I used to grab the tennis racket and jump up on the coffee table. And, back then it was Gene Simmons. I wanted to be Gene Simmons. I didn't know the difference between a bass and a 6-string or whatever. So that's where it started. And my parents got me an acoustic guitar when I was like 4 years old. And I didn't really learn to play it, but I messed around with it enough that I knew I liked it. And I brought it to like preschool, literally did like a little talent thing or whatever for the class. And then my mother and my father got in an altercation. My mother broke it over my dad's head. So I was without a guitar for the next 3.5, 4 years. And then my dad knew I still wanted to play because I'd become more interested in music over that time. And my dad lived in California at that point. And so we went for a drive one day, and I fell asleep in the truck, and I woke up and didn't know where we were. And he goes, get out. And he grabs my hand, walks me across the street. I'm, 7.5, 8 years old, I think at the time. And we walk into this place in Antioch, California called Webb's Music. And he goes, pick a guitar. And I was like looking around, like I wouldn't even know what to get. And, at the time, the two big guys that I was interested in were Eric Clapton and Eddie Van Halen. And so I remember looking at a Kramer, Eddie Van Halen, and it was, lower end one, but it was kind of a knockoff type thing, and a Strat, a black and white Strat. And I went with that. And that's how it started. Eric Clapton was really the first thing that got me interested in guitar. And then, it went from there. So, and now I have so many guitars, it's hard to keep track of, but I still have that guitar.
Nice. So. Favorite Clapton song?
Oh God. It's probably, probably going to be a Cream song or something if I had to think, but Clapton on his own, probably Bell Bottom Blues. There's so many, I'm into some of the Clapton stuff that most people aren't, the stuff off Journeyman and stuff, Bad Love. And there's just a ton of great songs like that, but yeah, I love Clapton. I hate that he's not revered. It used to be Clapton as God. Now that everybody likes to hate on Clapton, I'm like, there's something unique to the way he plays. And, there's something to the simplicity. It doesn't have to be fast. It's,
there's a lot of soul in his music.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, when you start looking at those types of influences, Gilmore was a huge one for me when I was young. And that's along the same things. Nothing he's playing is that difficult, but try and play it like he does. Good luck, you know. Peter Frampton. And then you got into the 80s stuff, you know. I think when the guitar stuff really got big for me is when Randy Rhoads tribute came out, Ozzy and Randy. And it was like, what is that? You know, Van Halen was awesome and, you know, got me super excited that you could do that on guitar. But there was just something about the way Randy wrote his solos that it was like there was a story being told, you know, like there was without words, you're telling a story and it had, you know, definitive beginning, middle, and end and progression through there. And that really got me going, you know. And then Steve Vai, you know, it's funny because I'm a huge Steve Vai fan. I have tons of Vai guitars and stuff. I cannot play anything like Steve Vai. You know, it's not really my forte of playing. I'm not that type of guy, but it doesn't change the fact that you know, he when they used to be, so when Yankee Rose was a big video on MTV, this would have been whatever year it was, 80, 85 or something like that. My dad, I'd be out of his house in the summers in California, and they had the show, it was the Dial MTV or something, but the number is 1-800-DIAL-MTV. You call in for your favorite video, and I would call nonstop for Yankee Rose. And I didn't know anything about Steve Vai, but like my first concert was literally seeing David Lee Roth with Vai, and Poison opened. You know, it was I don't know how old I was. I wasn't old enough to be there on my own, but we lied to my parents and lied to his parents, and me and a buddy went. We had his older brother drive us and dropped us off at the Met Center. You know? So it was pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, you know, then Vai and then all the 80s guys, you know, I mean, Vivian Campbell and, you know, George Lynch and, you know, the whole list goes down, you know. But before that, you know, of course, there was Sabbath. Tony Iommi was always a big inspiration. I was into Zeppelin, but never Jimmy Page, if that makes sense. I just never, I always respected like the chord structures he was able to put together and the uniqueness in that, but I never really cared for his playing, you know. So I don't know. There's just so many. The list of the influences when it comes to guitar are so long. I mean, there's just so many that, you know, you can't. And then the ones that no one wants to admit, CC DeVille. Like, if you grew up in the time I did and you weren't influenced by CC, you're lying. You were. You know, I mean, it's he knows how to write a solo that the girls can sing along to. You know, is it the most difficult thing in the world to play? No. Is it the right solo for the song? Yes. You know, and I think that sometimes is more important than impressing the other guitar players. So,
and that's interesting. And no matter what instrument you play, I think there's always kind of like maybe two camps of people.
Yeah.
Maybe three. Maybe some that sit in the middle and kind of respect.
Sure.
But there's always those that like you have to play exactly, or, you know, that's and then you've got those that just kind of interpret and have some fun with it, or you can respect a musician who plays something simple but it's perfect for the song versus somebody who just wails.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They've got all the skill but maybe none of the feeling to it, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think any instrument, it probably falls into those categories.
It does. And it you know, from my taste in music, I love both sides of it. You know, one of my favorite bands, who happens to be local, but if they weren't, I'd still be a huge fan, is Flip. And, you know, none of that's technically difficult music, but it's written to what's supposed to be there, you know, and it's done in a way that, with an energy that, you know, it doesn't matter if there's a guitar solo there or not, if it's difficult. It's like, there's just an energy and a presence about the music that I'm just a huge fan. I mean, huge fan. And then I'm a huge fan of stuff like Avenged Sevenfold. It's super technical and, you know, that kind of stuff. So, or Dimebag, or, you know, like, so I really like it all. But yeah, I think to your point is there's that different approach. And depending on the band, that approach might be right for that band, but would not work in the other one. And I like that. I like that, you know, that there's that range within the music I like.
Sure.
It keeps me thinking.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Eddie Van Halen would have been a good fit in the Ramones, right?
No, it'd been
the
cool.
Ramones put out such amazing, simple music, you know.
Yeah.
That even a drummer like me could probably play the guitar on those songs.
Right.
But
exactly.
Man, they're just so full of life and energy and purity for what they were meant to be.
Yes. I don't know if you've ever seen Flip, but you have. If you never,
I haven't. I know that they played recently at First.
They
Ave.
did.
Did you go to the show then?
I think they're at the Turf Club.
Is it Turf Club?
Yeah,
okay.
I think that's where they were. yeah, if you've never seen them live, it's an experience.
I saw John Sonic, who does the jam out in Stillwater.
Okay.
Put on an event a couple years ago, and it was just, he just brought in a bunch of like musicians, and he brought Flip. Flip was one of the performers there, the lead singer.
Yeah,
but he was just playing with other people, so it wasn't really their show or whatever. So
sure.
But yeah, I didn't know what I was missing either. But a friend of mine that was in the audience with me is a huge Flip fan, and really built it up. It was a lot of fun.
I have based a lot of my stage show around him.
Is that right?
There's just a presence. He when you go see a Flip show, there's something about Bryn, the way he commands the audience and the stage, and he'll be at the edge of the stage and like leaning over, like you look up and he's there. It's not looking up on the stage. He's right there. And so I try to do that live. I try to really get close to the audience and be right in there and make sure that they all know I'm watching them too, because that's why we're there. I mean, it's a little bit self-centered, but you think we're up there to entertain them. The reality of it is it's what gives us our energy to get through the rest of the week, is to be there and see them looking at us and watching us and, just enjoying music with us.
For sure.
So I think that's, the live show is where it's at for me. It always has been. But yeah, a lot of that comes back from watching him. And I'd already been doing music for years before that, and honestly never had that swagger about the way the live show needs to be until then. So it's like, God, I wish I would have had that back in the day when I was doing these other bands, but I do now. So
you got to learn it sometime.
Yes. Yep. Yeah.
Picked it up.
Learn from the greats.
So tell me some other heroes you have. So we talk about Slow Children, talk about Flip, some great influences for you. But tell me about some other influence in the local, music scene.
There's not a ton locally, to be honest. I mean, when I was young, I used to, follow Slave Raider at a lot of the ballrooms and stuff. Again, too young to be there type thing. But I hung out with the older kids in high school. Most of my friends were 3 to 4 years older than I was. And I was an early sprouter in terms of the facial hair. So I had a beard when I was, I think 15 years old. I could grow a beard. I bought beer on my 16th birthday. Walked in the liquor store. So I could get away with that. So I hung out with a lot of older friends in high school, and with that saw a lot of bands, So
That's
I would
cool.
say, yeah, I mean, Slow Children was one where I used to go sneak in to the press all the time up in St. Cloud to see them, and used to go to Slave Raider shows. But outside of that, music wise from Minnesota, it wasn't a ton. I mean, Prince obviously was, if he's not an influence, then what's wrong with you,
Right.
So I had a huge love for Prince going back to, basically when Purple Rain came out, and back then I was into break dancing, so kind of crazy stuff.
Were you? You got some moves for us?
No, I don't.
Cameras are rolling,
I don't
man.
think I do. I don't think I had moves back then even, to be honest, but it didn't matter.
Have to be better than that Australian lady, right? That
probably slightly, but not much. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yep. So
cool, man.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, what's like the coolest venue or coolest show that you can remember playing?
God, I don't know. There's so many good shows. I mean, a lot of the festival stuff's always awesome. When you do the festivals, and again, you're opening for, some of your heroes, and, getting to rub elbows with them and hang out and stuff. And so the cool thing is with a lot of those shows is, you can establish your friendship, and now you're friends with somebody that, you used to have a poster on the wall, and you still keep in touch.
So tell me one of those stories.
Yeah.
Somebody maybe had.
So like we were playing a show, and it was us and Lynch Mob and Queensryche and Stryper and a list of bands. And backstage, everybody would always swamp the trailer of the lead singer, but no one was really looking to go to the guitar player's trailer. And so I walked back there, and Oz Fox was sitting there messing with his guitar, sitting outside his trailer. And I just sat down in the chair next to him. We started talking guitars and never brought up anything about bands. And so they did their show. It was Queensryche's first show with Todd as the lead singer. First time they played that show as Queensryche. And so we were all it was funny because down in the press pit, it was some of the guys from Menace, me, and I think our singer and our drummer at the time, and George Lynch was down there. Oz Fox was down there. Michael Sweet was down there. We had all these musicians, basically waiting to just ridicule this guy because who can be Jeff Tate? Like, come on, why are you even going to try? And Todd walks out, then they open with Queen of the Reich, and it was like, holy crap, this guy's amazing, but we a lot of those guys we've kept in touch, so it's that way. A lot of times you open with these bands and you still keep doing, some of the guys from Warrant and stuff like that, but like Oz and I have been friends now for, I don't know, better than a decade. We get together and have breakfast. It's breakfast now. It used to be dinner and then go have drinks, but we don't really do that anymore. So it's breakfast, breakfast and coffee. But yeah, it's cool to get that stuff. And you play the festivals. It's funny. We played Midsummer Music Fest last summer. I think I've done it. I've done it with KOBB and with Menace. So I think I've done it 3 or 4 times. But we were playing Saturday. I think the headliner was Seven Dust. It was us, Eva Under Fire, Powerman 5000, and Seven Dust. And so my wife and I were sitting backstage. They have a great little hospitality area back there, and we had ordered our food and we're waiting for it to come. And the Seven Dust guys are walking through to do their meet and greet in this meet and greet building they have. And the guys all walk through, and I don't really know them. I've met Clint a few times, and hey, Clint, walk by, cool. Hey, Lejean, they walk by, cool. And all of a sudden, Morgan Rose sees me, and he just beelines for me. He walks up, like, hey, man, how you been? It's been so long. Morgan Rose does not know me. I don't know Morgan Rose.
Interesting.
So,
okay.
But I go along with it. And give him a hug and everything. Hey, great, whatever. Excited to see you guys tonight. And I sit back down in my Adirondack chair, and they go in to do their thing. And my wife looks over. She goes, how do you know him? I go, I don't. I don't know him at all. I think he thinks I'm someone else. I don't know if you've seen in Menace. I usually have a green beard and the bowler hat.
Yeah.
And I think he thought I was probably one of the guys in Power Man, and just he might know them better than he knows me. So it's funny things like that. But those festivals are always, I'll say that casino shows are always amazing. For a long time, we were doing a lot of shows where we would be at the casino after the headliner would play, so you get to do the stuff after that. So a lot of those are amazing shows. But I'd say overall, it's the festivals that are really fun shows. I can't do it enough. And I love playing outdoors too. There's just something about being outside and not being cramped up in a room, So, yeah.
All right. So personal question here, right?
Sure.
We're in a heavier band, hits and the misses, right? How long did it take you guys in Menace, playing for 25 years, to really kind of generate a crowd that comes back to see you often? Because I noticed from watching some of your shows, even through the internet, you guys pull a pretty good crowd.
We got lucky. So I like I said earlier, we kind of had looked at, there was a missing, in the local music scene, there was kind of a missing thing where if you weren't all heavy or you weren't all 80s, we could be some of this in between. So I think that was part of it. But we got some opportunities to open for some big bands early on. I think the first one was Firehouse and Warrant and Quiet Riot. And, you start opening for these bands. And, there was one club owner that would give us a lot of opportunities like that. She loved us. And we became the house band for St. Cloud radio stations. We got a lot of publicity that way in press. And then, the Miller Lite thing, that was years of negotiation. But once I got that, so you kind of get that. You get lucky with that. And once you get in front of people, even Hairball, we did a lot of opening shows for Hairball, which, you play in front of some people that probably wouldn't have seen you otherwise.
Yeah.
And then they start looking, because Hairball's not always in town, especially not now. They're could be anywhere. They could be in Europe,
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, well, we've seen Menace and we like Menace too. And next thing you know, they're following you. So I think that's part of it. I don't want to take a lot of credit. I mean, we were always a band where it was like, we're going to put on a show. We're not just a stand there band. It's going to be higher. It's gotten lower energy over the years because we've gotten old, but we still, the morning after show, it's hard to stand up. I'm sore. It's still that way. My wife yells at me. She's like, you're jumping around like you're 20. I'm like, I know, but that's what they're coming to see, is they want to see me putting on a show. So, I think, again, give ourselves some credit. We captured them when they got to see us, but we got to be in front of people we wouldn't have otherwise because some breaks we were given. So And then it's the maintaining over the years. And it's funny because in 25 years, you see, people kind of come out of it, especially when they're younger. And so my goal's always been to catch people right before they turn 21, see you somewhere, that's an all ages thing or something like that, and get them as fans. And because you only have them for so long, and then they leave for a while because they have kids. They get married, they have kids. Around 28 or so, you see them, they disappear for a while. Then the kids get old enough where they can start going out again. Then you see them come back to the shows. Then you see the kids start coming with them. It's like this whole regeneration thing, which has been awesome. But
that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it is. And the list of marriages and children that have come from, people that met at Menace shows. In my own family, both my sisters married people that they met at Menace shows.
Is that right?
My wife, I met my wife at a Menace show.
That's a true claim to fame.
Yeah,
right there.
It's awesome. So
you're matchmakers and metal, all the same show.
Yeah,
I love it.
Exactly. So, but yeah, I mean, that's as far as Menace goes with the crowds. It's just like any band, though. I mean, the wintertime suck playing indoors,
Yeah, sure.
I'm sorry, summertime. Wintertime's awesome. Summertime sucks for the indoor stuff. So we try not to do it anymore.
Yeah.
We're not really, I don't think any of us are that reliant on the money anymore. In my younger days, we had people who paid their mortgages with the Menace shows, and we used to play 7 or 8 shows a month, because you had to. Now, that's not the case. So we can basically be a little more choosy about what we want to play.
Sure.
So there's just certain stuff we don't do anymore. Like we're not going to go play in a bar in the middle of summer when no one wants to be inside and, play to ourselves or play to our, 30 people that, would rather not be there, but they're friends. So they feel obligated type thing. We try to do the bigger stuff in the summer, especially outdoor stuff. And then in the wintertime, we'll do the indoor stuff. So.
A fascinating story. James Flagg was on here today. I'm not sure if you knew that.
He was on?
He was on earlier today, yeah.
Well, damn, he's on my list of my recommendations.
Is he really?
He was.
Well, good. Yeah. But James was telling me a fantastic story. They were on a mini tour on their way out to California to play a prog festival.
Yeah.
He was in this band called Bubble Math. And I guess maybe you've heard of them before, but and they were just kind of stopping along the way. They got a gig in Reno, and evidently when they set up and started playing, it was only the sound guy and the bartender in the room.
Yeah.
And the sound guy and bartender didn't like them so much, they both actually left. And so they played an entire show
to themselves.
Just to themselves. So I thought that was a fantastic and funny story, a little depressing, but then they went to the next show, which is where they were headed. It was like a prog fest, and they had thousands of people out there because they actually wanted to hear that kind of music.
Yeah.
So
that's the stuff you play in between those shows, but you can really, you can take that as an opportunity.
Yeah.
To hone things a little bit.
That's exactly what they did. They said they like a couple times they just played the same song twice because they wanted to work on getting it down. They're practicing live on somebody else's stage, somebody else's sound.
So James was on this mic.
He was on
right
that
here
mic.
in this.
Literally,
I'm honored.
Yeah.
That man.
Thomas Moga was in here before you as well.
Moga.
So, him.
Moga. Yeah. Moga tried out for Menace a long time ago.
Is that right?
Long time ago. Yeah. Moga, I mean, both those guys are in so many bands. We play a lot of shows with both their bands. So we've never done any shows with 10,000 Days. We have done Stone and Echo, some festival stuff with them. We play a lot of shows with Hybrid Theory. We found kind of a really good fit of 3 bands that tends to draw really well together, and we all get along well. So we do shows with Hybrid Theory and Metallica and KOBB, and that combination, we sell it everywhere we go. We all get along well. It's been really good. So, but on the topic of James, that guy, I can't say enough about him. I mean, he's one of the most talented musicians I've ever known, and that's not just Minnesota, that's anywhere. Vocal chameleon, to be able to, to do Maynard and then to do Lane, which are 2 voices that, in my opinion, have very little commonality. Yeah. And he does them, like you wouldn't know it's not them. I joke around. We did a festival. We were headlining, KOBB was, and Matt Alice was on earlier in the day. And after their set, I'm like, man, I don't even I got to go on after this. Luckily, it's at least a few hours later. Maybe people will forget how good they were. And but yeah, that guy, and then he's a fantastic drummer as well. I'm sure he's a great guitarist.
Yeah,
there's some of those people out there that are just so good at everything. And you have to remember, because it's easy to go, well, why do I even do this? I'm not nearly as good. I can't do this as good as their singer can do. I don't know if you know Chris from Hairball, but he used to be in the band Gemini back in the day. And I remember when Menace first started, we went and saw them at the Star Bar before it was Star Central, kind of by Sharky's off of Central. And they played some song and he played lead guitar on it. And I looked at the guitar player. I'm like, what are we doing? And their singer's a better guitar player than either one of us, you know. But that's not all it's about, you know. But it's easy to go, well, I'm just going to put these things in the closet,
right.
which I've done before. I took a time off of guitar and went, I don't know why I'm bothering. You know, there's so many guys better than me. But, you know, are they better performers than I am? Maybe not, you know. And I can get better at guitar, and I have. You know, there's things I do now that I would have never thought I could do. You know, I used to be afraid to try certain things, certain types of really intricate soloing and stuff like that. Like, that's not me. I can't do that. I was afraid of it, you know. And then it's like, oh, it may take me longer to get it down than some of these really good guys, but in the end of it, I can do it. You know, we do Avenged Sevenfold now and Slipknot and stuff like that. And sometimes, usually I don't play like, we've always been a 2-guitar band in Menace, and the other guy's always been the guy, whether it be the original guy, Snooky, or the 2-guitar players we've had since. You guys take the really intricate stuff. I'll do the more soulful, you know, type stuff. And every once in a while, those guys can't play, and you got to do it without a second guitar player. And okay, now I'm going to go learn, you know, these dime bag solos and stuff. And it's like, can I do it? Yeah, I can do it. It just takes me a little longer to learn them, you know, and get them down right. So, yeah, definitely changed my what would I call it? I guess my confidence on some of that over the years of stuff where I used to go, I can't do that. That's not me, you know. Yeah, I can. Just got to work a little harder.
Yeah, I mean, I forget who came up with the concept, right, of the 10,000 hours to mastery or whatever.
Yeah.
And some people literally will spend 10,000 hours in a year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just get balls to the wall amazing at something. And some of us have other shit going on in life and take a longer path to get there. So.
Well, and now there's the 14-year-old that's been playing for 6 months that can outplay me. You know, it's funny because, you know, back when I was young, I mean, we used to slow down tapes to learn solos, you know. Now, you know, with YouTube and stuff like that, there's just so much opportunity. If you want to learn, you know, and you have passion to do it, you can learn stuff. Yeah, the resources are endless.
Yeah, AI,
which is awesome. Yeah, now I mean, yeah, that's
have you messed with voices yet?
No.
It's a phenomenal app. You can download the original song. It will split it into all the different tracks.
Okay.
And then it will split the song up into the parts, and you can slow all the parts down.
Oh, God.
And literally, you know, so I can learn just the drums, but turn everything else, listen to exactly what the drummer is doing at any given spot.
Yeah.
And really focus down, repeat that section over and over
What's
again.
it called?
Until I get it right. Moises. Moises. It is just a fantastic, cool app.
Is that a subscription thing?
It's a subscription.
Okay.
Man. I don't even know how much
yearly
I pay,
or something?
but yeah. It's not ridiculous.
Okay. I should get that.
It's a super, super helpful app.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure, and Moises, people don't kill me here, but I think if you signed up for it, you literally could share the same app with all the login with all your bandmates, and everybody could have the same. I don't know, but
maybe.
Yeah, they're definitely not going to sponsor me now. So
when you're learning Korn, it's funny too, because a lot of times, like until I joined that band or co-formed the band with Tim or whatever it might be, I never really played we played a couple songs. Like I think in the Menace set, we've had at most maybe 3 Korn songs over the years. And you learn one that you weren't playing them right, you know, when you really dig into it. Close enough for you know, close enough for the cover show, but doing tribute, no. But you also learn that it's not as easy as it sounds, because they do a lot of really interesting stuff that is I don't know the word I'm looking for, but it's not the norm. I mean, it's just, you're getting outside of the normal way of playing. They invented some new stuff. And the other problem is trying to hear when it's that low tuned, trying to distinguish a half step when it's that low can sound right. until you play it with the other guys, it's wrong. So it's learning that stuff. Something like this, I'm going to look into that because that could be very helpful.
I highly recommend it. Yeah, it's a very, very cool app.
Yeah, that's awesome. That technology, man. you
Yeah,
know?
right.
Well, I don't bring big stacks of amps anymore. My stuff's all on a pedal board.
Right, and to listen to music, we don't have to have a Walkman or a boom box that's the size of a,
I miss my boom box.
Do you?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
So
I think they make like not actual boom boxes, but it's like it's playing. You can still buy the big massive thing and walk around with it.
Yeah,
so.
it's playing an MP3 though.
Yeah. All right. So what's as a guy who's been doing this for a couple of years, right?
Yeah.
Share some advice with the young bucks out there that are kind of thinking about digging in.
Don't do it. No, I'm kidding. No. I mean,
get a real job, kid.
Do it for fun. I mean, do it for fun, and if you end up making money, that's awesome. But if you come into it, and you can come into it as a business, I guess you could do it that way, but it's not going to be fun. Anytime I've been in a band where it felt like work, I didn't want to be in the band, and I've only been in a few that way. But there is a business side to it, and you have to take that seriously and cultivate that. And in most of the bands I've been in, I run everything from the HR side to the social media to all the marketing, and I'm the tax guy, I'm the accountant, I do it all. And I hate that, that side of the business, and then booking, hate booking. It's a good old boys club, and either you use an agent or you don't. If you don't, you're already working uphill. And we've never really used agents much. We have relationships with some. We book some shows with agents, but we've never been a band that surrenders our calendar to an agent and has them do all the booking. Which maybe that's a mistake. Maybe I should have. But that side of the business sucks. But if you can still. For me, I'm an executive at a company. I run the entire retail division for a large company, and that sucks. I mean, that if my company's listening, not specifically our company, just in general, that's not fun. That's work. Right. And so, to be able to go on stage for 3 hours and be someone else, I tell people all the time, because of course I'm in costume, and even my wife knows, when Crash is not Jason, Jason's not Crash, two different people. And to be able to be up there, it's like theater, you get to be a different character, and you get to, get out of that day-to-day world that's not any fun, that makes you just go, oh God, so that's amazing. And you take the business side out, someone has to do it. It sucks, but I also own all of our production. I own a huge 26-foot box truck full of, 30,000 watts of PA and trussing and everything else. And when that needs to be set up, I'm the one who does that too. Otis does help me quite a bit, but none of that's fun. But I wouldn't give it up, and I still haven't, as much as my back hurts and as much as I have less time now for those 3 hours on stage where I can be somebody different, and act a way that I can't act in my professional life, and let that out. So again, it goes back to the live thing. I love being in the studio and recording, but it's always been about getting up on stage. I've done it in different capacities in original bands, and toured some stuff, and done the original stuff, like I said earlier. It doesn't matter. It's still, when you get on stage and get to perform it, is what really for me has always been the thing. So,
well, I'm really glad I asked that question, man. That was a fantastic answer.
Yeah,
good stuff.
Yeah.
So, you have anything that we haven't talked about in the works or in the future? Any nuggets we can drop here for our audience?
I don't. So I've been looking to try and put together some big tribute stuff, to kind of, again, do the side of the business I hate. Mm-hmm. But I just think there's a big opportunity.
Meaning you're organizing, or you're starting new bands?
Yeah, no, I don't want to start any new bands. Mm-hmm. No. There has been talk about a Slipknot tribute, but I don't have really the time. But if it comes around, and
has there been one in the cities yet?
I don't think so. That's
a tough band to follow.
It would be,
especially for the drummer, which is the perspective that I look at it from.
But you put on masks, and no one,
that's true.
It could be a band that already exists, and just put on the masks. And,
I think those are the same guys at KOBB.
Yeah, it could be. You never know. I guess the newest thing lately is Menace. After it was 24 years in, we'd never done an acoustic show.
Huh.
And we did, and we now just did our second one, and we're doing our third one this summer at Rock the Riverside
Nice.
up in Sauk Rapids.
How'd those go?
They went well.
Yeah.
And it was funny because we learned a few different songs that we don't usually have in our set, but we adapted a lot of songs you'd never think you'd do on acoustic. Like we do Avenged Sevenfold Nightmare. You know, you imagine playing those solos on an acoustic. So I had to go out and buy a 24 fret acoustic guitar, and you know, it's just crazy stuff. But
I'm really intrigued. I want to hear this now.
I was too.
Sounds great.
Well, we didn't even rehearse it. The first one, we just made the set list, and there's a thing, you know, when you get to a certain level of musicians, it's awesome that you don't have to spend a ton of time in rehearsal anymore, because everybody's at a level that you know that unless, like when we learned that song originally, we had a couple rehearsals of just me and the other guitar players. Like this stuff has to, but the rest of it, you know, everyone could do on their own. We had a whole band, but for the acoustic thing, I just wrote the set list, and everyone just said, well, okay, I'm going to adapt this to acoustic. And we did it, and didn't really know if it was going to work at all. And it was like, well, that went really well. Let's book another one, you know? So we'll probably do more of that. Obviously it's not the same energy. You're sitting on a chair, but
sure,
there's an intimacy to it that was really cool.
Right.
And stripped down, you know, obviously you don't have effects and stuff. We don't have anything going on. It's just the acoustics, and we play. So that's fun. You know, it's different. I've never been a big acoustic guy, and so that's been nice to delve into something that's a little change up. So I think we'll pepper more of those in the future. And then, you know, on the KOBB side of things, well, StiphBizkit, we're still adding to the set list. So we're trying to get that to an hour. Right now we do about 45 minutes, but we'll get that to an hour. We don't really plan to headline with StiphBizkit unless there's a call for it. If we had a festival call and say, hey, we want to book StiphBizkit for an hour set, we'll do that. But, you know, we kind of stick to the fact that we created that band as an opening band for KOBB, and that's the way we utilize it at this point. But again, right now we're working to get that to a good solid hour set list. And KOBB, God, we've done shows that I think we've done, you know, hour and 45-minute sets of Korn, which I don't think Korn's ever done an hour and 45-minute set. So that's a lot of Korn. You know, that's digging into some real deep cuts there. So, but yeah, just trying to organize some. I think there's an opportunity. There's been some done, but I think because I own, you know, enough production that we don't have to, if we have somebody with a, you know, a big diesel generator and a big field, I can put on that show, you know, so the cost is something can be really contained by the fact that I own it all. And I think we could put together some huge stuff, you know, where we're not relying on trying to find a venue that wants to host us. And, you know, we've played with or met enough of these tribute bands, and we played with like some that come from other states that come through. Deftones tribute we played with, fantastic. And so there's, and then the other thing is, of course, I think there's opportunity to bring this stuff to other states as well. So I've been looking at, you know, maybe booking some of the stuff out in Vegas. I got a lot of contacts out there, Nashville, you know. My guys are all willing to kind of do it as you can't make a lot of money doing it because the expense of going there,
right,
and everything. So, but if we can play it and not be out of pocket and have a free vacation and play really cool venues, my guys are all in for it. So,
sure.
I've never had band members that were all willing to do that. Everyone's like, "What were we gonna make?" Well, we're gonna make enough that it's gonna pay for our airfare and our hotels and our food and all this. We're gonna be a cool place, and on a vacation, it's not gonna cost us anything. And we got to play for 90 minutes. You know, that's cool for me. You know, So I think I'll try and book some of that stuff. But you know, honestly, I heard Otis say it on the thing, and I agree with him. I get so busy with my day job sometimes that the booking, I forget to do it. And then it's like, oh, when's our next show? I don't know. I should probably look at the calendar. And then I start dialing and getting some stuff on the books. So
I feel that.
Yeah. But the 25-year thing, we're excited about that. You know, we usually have a lot of giveaways and stuff like that from sponsors, and we give away a guitar, and it's always one of those shows. It's the one show a year that I always tell the guys, this is our show. So the set list can be whatever the hell we want. Like, we don't worry about, is this bar, we're going to be too heavy for this bar? We're going to be too light for this bar? We're going to play what we want to play that night. You know, it's our celebration, and the people that are going to come and see us, they're all huge fans, you know, so it's like, no one's going to care if we do more heavy stuff that night than we usually do, or, you know, whatever it might be. So I'm excited for that.
And when and where is this happening?
It's at Lupulin, where you saw us, actually.
Okay.
We did the mental health for mental health show. And it is on whatever the Saturday is closest to April 21st. So I think it might be the 23rd or something like that.
Okay.
April 21st was our official first headlining show. We had done some shows prior to that, opening for a band called Faith Nation. And the first show we played headlining was April 21st. Yeah. So that's the one that we celebrate as our official, you know, anniversary of being a full-on band.
Nice, man. I mean, making it to 25 years for anything in life is a pretty,
no kidding,
pretty big stretch. So congratulations on that, and being able to hold it down. And
I keep setting it out. So it's like, okay, at 25, then I'll go, everyone, well, how long are you do this? And we'll go, 30 will be the next one. And then at 30, I'll reassess again. And I always say, as long as the people keep coming to see us, it'd be pretty hard for me to walk away from it. Now, if they stop coming to see us, we're going to go away gracefully. I'm not going to be that guy that's still trying to push it along and no one's interested
still wearing
anymore.
the tight pants.
Yeah, I'll still be wearing the tight pants.
And big hair. And
yeah, you had the big hair, and it's gone now. So, yeah.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
All right, so I wrap these up always with the same question. You're probably prepared for this one. And who should be next, other than James Flagg? Well, see, he was already on today.
He was on my list, though, so I gotta still keep him in there, James. I think I'm glad you're on the show, because I think that if anyone deserves to be interviewed, it's you. I would also say that if you can find time in Chris Fox from Hairball's busy schedule, I can tell you that, you know, not only in Minnesota music, but, you know, they did things with a lot of other great Minnesota musicians. His story is pretty deep. You know, we've had a lot of opportunity to talk about the stuff that he's done. And it's like, wow, you've done a lot. I think that the other opportunity to have some really great people in there would be, you know, either Bryn Arns from Flip, or any of the current or past members of Flip. They're all amazing, and they'd all be great to interview. And I can only imagine the stories that I've heard plenty of them, but I'm sure there's plenty more. So, those would be my suggestions.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, thanks a lot for doing this. I
really
appreciate
absolutely.
you coming out.
When do I get to interview you?
Well, actually, somebody's already flipped the tables on me.
Really?
So, yeah.
A
friend of mine, and then Stunner actually put me on his podcast already.
Oh,
too.
there you go. Yeah.
I don't know when that's probably will come out sooner rather than later.
Awesome.
But yeah,
well, thanks for having me.
My friend Brett that plays bass and we jam sometimes. He flipped the tables on me and said I should be his guest. So it already happened.
Great minds.
Yeah, right. Cool, man. Thank you very much for doing this.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hey there, Minnesota music family. If I haven't personally reached out to you yet, consider this your 100% official invitation to join me on the Minnesota Music Note. I'm Will McLeod, co-founder of the podcast crew here in beautiful Robbinsdale, host of the show, and the guy behind the kit for the band Hits and the Misses. I started this podcast because I want to get to know the people who make our scene tick. Whether you're fronting a band, spinning hip-hop, running sound, booking shows, running shows, or teaching the next generation of talent, your story belongs here. We've had everyone from videographers to festival organizers on the mic, and we're just getting started. It doesn't matter if you're playing arenas or just making magic in your basement. If you're part of the Minnesota music community, I want to chat. Slide into my DMs or hit the email below, and let's hang out and talk shop.